In the bottom left side of Eternal Empire, we're looking at the main base of the man who's of course still represented by Ting. It is Neeb.
In the top right, as the red Terran, we have INnoVation.
I gotta say, one thing I'm a little bit worried about is that even though like I'm really kind of feeling Neeb here, I've also seen INnoVation play a couple of TVPs, and I think this was during the second edition of the Stay at Home Story Cup, where he made it look so simple and so easy that I didn't even really get it. He would just do nothing other than open up with a Reaper, sometimes not even Reaper. Then he sends a Raven to the other side of the map. He drops like one auto turret, units go out of position. He marches to the other side of the map with Stim Bio and a tank, and he wins the game. And I'm like, what? Like, how? That's not the way that professional StarCraft 2 is supposed to look. But Inno is really an absolute master in making hard things look super simple and super straightforward.
That's a good way to put it. Like he's always been known as the super macro, always the super standard guy, but that doesn't mean that he's necessarily predictable. He just has a clean way of executing things that make you think, oh, that's not that fancy. You know, kind of like the opposite of Parting, I feel. Like when I watch Parting do things that are really cool, I'm just like, oh, I would never be able to do that. Oh, no, I'm not even trying, you know? And not for INnoVation, I'm like, yeah, I can be like this guy. And that's probably why he's my favorite Terran. I'll try not to be too biased here, but absolutely. And I love that you brought up the Raven too, because I feel like that's something we haven't really honed in on, which is that the Raven really has come back as a harassment tool in this matchup. You know, like it's not totally unexpected to see it. It's still good versus other things. Obviously, anti-armor missile is very good, interference matrix, but especially on Eternal Empire, I feel like seeing a Raven go for that harassment, go for the auto turret to pull the army out of position is becoming more and more common. Kind of reminds me of the Abyssal Reef days back when they actually nerfed the auto turret range because the queens couldn't deal with it well enough, but that was a while ago.
Indeed, but yeah, I remember those scenarios as well. Always in the natural, that Raven just sitting there for half of the game. Now, I want to point out, these are not super big things, but Neeb actually went for the Nexus before Cybernetics Core this game, even though I feel like almost all the pros lately go Cybercore before Nexus. This may have something to do with the map though. Eternal Empire is very big, opening up with like that quick adapt and shading into the other side of the map. Most of the time you won't get much done, especially not against a Terran like INnoVation. Neeb seems to agree with that, so he's like, nope, I'm going to get that little economic advantage and actually go Nexus before Core.
Yeah, I like it. It usually doesn't get very much done, but it's also Neeb, as we expect. These guys are both known as the macro players. You know, going to bring up Parting, he might build a shield battery right now and have a bunch of units across the map. But Neeb, INnoVation, both really supreme macro players. And while they both have it in them to, they're a tournament contender, they know to mix it up occasionally. I'm not sure either one of them thinks it would be in their best interest to mix it up necessarily. I think Neeb is pretty happy with his first choice. He is looking towards more of that 3-base scenario where he feels very comfortable, and he just has to get there. So to start things off, we do have a bit of a Reaper tussle, but I was going to say 3 gateways in total here for the Blink build, which I feel like we were going to a point where it was either 4 for aggression or 2 for macro, but it's going to be 3 here.
No, I totally agree with you. I feel like 3 is okay, I want to get up to 3 bases quickly, follow this up with charge and get a good economy. And 4 is I'm going to channel my best Parting impression and see if I can just win the game. I gotta say, a little slip up there by Inno, because he did a great job in hiding that Reaper in the main base. But then his own grenade actually bounced the Reaper back, so he wasn't able to get that probe kill. That was, in my opinion, a guaranteed probe kill, because the Reaper was in the mineral line, stalkers were out of position, so that was easy. This is, of course, a really big moment already. We don't have an armory, but if Neeb sees this coming, just with a couple of seconds, look at Blink. It's going to be done, I think, in time to deal with the triple mine showing up in the first time. It's going to be awfully close. But this is a really big moment. Imagine if Neeb snipes this medevac without really taking any damage.
Ooh, or just moves the stalkers away from being able to do that. Of course, they'll react. Oh, no, he blinked right. What is he doing? What is he doing? What is he watching? What? Neeb, what? What are you doing? Oh, jeez. Okay, that was so close. That last second pull on the probe. Oh, there's one more. Oh, Neeb's trying to be offensive. Oh, God.
I don't get that at all, because this was the normal time of a Widowmine drop to show up as well. Right when Blink finishes, at least the medevac goes down. I mean, 8 probes is obviously a pretty big deal. But if you get all 3 Widowmines and the medevac, I'd say you can live with it. Don't forget about that Widowmine in your natural, please, Neeb. Because it's... Oh, okay, he's going to be fine, I guess.
That's going to be close, yeah. I'm glad that he pulls. Yeah,
Don't lose the observer.
Alright, still loses 2 probes. Not getting a whole lot done. He gets some revenge, but then loses a stalker, so I wouldn't say it's really worth it. That's, yeah, I don't know. I guess, like, if it was only 2 Widow Mines, it would have been a little bit earlier, but to, you know, stake your probes on whether it's 2 or 3 or 5 or, you know, 10 seconds slightly different, like, that was a little bit weird from Neeb. He does want to apply the pressure. He wants to know what's going on, and it looks like INnoVation. I didn't even see him build a second bunker. He's taking this seriously. I guess he saw 3 gateways, and you know, 2 gateways at the front. Might have been worried there was 1 more in the main, so he took the cautionary steps here. But it also depends on whether the Protoss themselves actually continuously warp in, right, or they go directly into charge and directly into upgrades. But Neeb is holding off on that a little bit, building more stalkers, really showing a lot to INnoVation, and then going double forge behind this. So kind of more of a classic approach to this build.
Yeah, I don't really get it, because Neeb is kind of doing both builds, right? He's doing the, I want to get a great economy, 3 base, I want to get stalkers in charge, double forge, but at the same time, he's like, yeah, I want to be like farting and get into the main base, but you have to choose in StarCraft 2, especially at the highest level. And I'm really unfortunate, because if you, or I'm really sad about it, because now I hate this position. I mean, they're tied up in workers. INnoVation has a triple CC setup already, and he's obviously not going to move out too early. That means that the bio ball is going to get very big, and I think Zealots are going to have a very tough time to get a good trade. Neeb feels like he needs to get something done, and he does get the tank, but at the cost of, I think, 2 stalkers there.
Yeah, I think so. He's lost 4 in total. It makes some sense. A lot of them are also very weak, and I just... sure. I guess he just felt pressure to do something, but INnoVation has been very well set up against Blink Stalkers, 2 bunkers, tanks, even has his buildings in the correct position, you know, to guard against any of those pesky snipes. And now has an absolutely beautiful setup. He's got 5 barracks, 3 CC. The Stalkers have entirely moved away. Neeb will have double upgrades, but so will INnoVation. You got double engineering bays with that.
I'd love to see Neeb get Storm immediately in this scenario. Like, I think there are some moments where it's actually better to not get Storm, get a few more gateway units out. But I think this is one of these moments where Zealots and Stalkers are probably not going to win you the game. Look at INnoVation's army. It's so damn big. There's so much firepower. Like, storming in here with like 6 or 7 Zealots is not going to make the difference. Maybe if you have 1-1, they'll survive a little bit longer. We do have some other turret harass, but just this push looks absolutely devastating to me, and I don't know how Neeb is supposed to survive.
Pretty sure he doesn't. Oh, the War Prism comes in, but I think it would have been if it was a little bit sooner, it maybe would have caused INnoVation some pause. Now he might just like, yeah, he's gonna reinforce, try and deal with it there, and then he scans, he sees an opportunity, he is gonna push it, doesn't even bother sieging his tank. Force let's come down a little bit late, and everything's spilling through anyways.
Yep, I mean, this is just where the bio army has a little too much DPS. Neeb is losing everything. GG gets called. INnoVation will pick up a convincing Game 1 victory in the end. I can't help but to feel that I got robbed from my good Neeb setup, you know? Like, keep the Stalkers at home, go up to 3 base, and even if that medevac flies in and kills 2 or 3 probes, if you build probes non-stop, I don't understand why he tried to be aggressive with the Stalkers while he didn't even have a quick prism with it. It's so weird to me.
I feel like what his plan was to... I feel like what he wanted to do was apply a little bit of aggression, basically decide to warp in a few more times as opposed to going to direct macro. But then behind what, as at the end of the day, ends up being false aggression, you know, he's actually just scaring INnoVation. He like really powers up his macro, right? And that idea sounds great in our head, and I'm sure it sounded great in his head too. And he wanted to get the aggression started. He wanted to convince INnoVation that he's scary, and then everything just started to go wrong for him. The Widow Mines hit. The Stalkers found 2 bunkers because INnoVation wasn't willing to give up a game to silly Stalker shenanigans. So he was totally prepared. Not even a little bit of damage to be taken. Yeah, I think maybe Neeb had a good idea on Eternal Empire, but it really didn't get to flesh out.
And I think what you mentioned in the broadcast could actually be a very big deal there as well. That Neeb is, if he was expecting a mine drop, he expected a double mine drop. And that double mine drop does show up like 7, 8, 9 seconds quicker than the triple mine drop in general. So maybe he's just like, if it's not in my base at like 4:45, I know that this is INnoVation. He should be here, even if it's Eternal Empire and a slightly bigger map. Then he's probably not doing it at all. So let's go out and move out. If that was a double mine drop, maybe the Stalkers are still at home and then everything is a lot better. But the fact that it showed up a couple of seconds later maybe gave him a false sense of security that he wasn't being dropped. And he's like, no, it's okay to move out because I don't know what's happening, but I don't think he's dropping. That is absolutely a shame because it's a completely different game. If the first stalkers are in the main base, if they see that medevac, if it flies over a pylon, we have a completely different game, and Neeb would have probably still been in it right now.
I agree. That really would have started things off a lot better for him. And then his build choice, maybe it doesn't do damage, but maybe he doesn't feel as prompted to actually do something with it. So he just controls the game. And I think with that, it would have been a much better macro game. So Eternal Empire, unfortunately, already lost to both of these macro players, I suppose. But Death Aura also has some neat defensive capabilities. We'll take a look after the intros. In the bottom right, as the Red Protoss down 1, he is Neeb.
In the top left side, look at the main base of the Korean Terran machine himself. Without a doubt, one of the all-time greats of StarCraft 2. It is INnoVation.
So Death Aura, it gets pretty short when you take down those rocks in the middle. But otherwise, we've seen a lot of promising comebacks or straight up comebacks on this map due to the way the in general, without the rocks being broken, the map is actually not that small. And also the way that that third base is situated on that high ground. I mean, I remember, Geralt is actually who I'm thinking of against Terrans, constantly almost bringing it back, mixing in disruptors and constantly guarding these ramps. So I still feel like Neeb's in a position to just be like, okay, let me get to comfortable 3-base scenario. But as you said, like we were kind of robbed, like they should have been setting up on 3 bases to 3 bases and epic macro game. And instead, we had a 7-minute game, 8-minute game, and it's on a Death Aura.
Yep, and the fight that happened wasn't even much of a fight. I mean, when it's like 78 army supply of stimmed bio and it's 6 or 7 zealots, they will just disappear in thin air. Like, they won't even get a single slice off, or they might get 1 or 2 with charge, but then they go down and the medevacs are just there healing it up. I wouldn't be super surprised to see Neeb play Stargate here. I honestly think this is a pretty good Stargate map to obviously get into later stages of the game as well. But especially with the way that INnoVation has been playing a lot of his TVPs lately, I think a Stargate opening here would be awesome. And I personally would prefer the Phoenix over the Oracle, but call me biased.
I'm going to call you biased. Well, Neeb is going to go for a Stargate. As much as you are biased, I actually would like the Phoenix as well. I think this is another map, too, where Ravens can be very obnoxious. We've seen a couple of 2 or 3-pronged attacks on this map. And INnoVation did use a Raven last game. I know it didn't really seem to because it was kind of already game with just the army supply. But there was a Raven looking to distract Neeb, but didn't really end up playing as much as the early portion of the game. So that could happen again. And if it does happen, and if Phoenix finds it, that's an instant loss, big loss for INnoVation. But I'm sure INnoVation's also, he's aware this could be a good build. He wants to get that scout, and I think he'll eventually sack that Reaper to try. But so far, I can't see it.
Yep, because he made this be like, well, everybody opens Twilight. He opened Twilight in game 1. There's a very good chance that he goes Twilight again. I don't know why the Reaper is going to try here again, because the Reaper won't see anything. That's actually a little bit risky, because I think if the Stalker was moved forward a little bit quicker... Wow, look at this on INnoVation side. He's opening up with Macfield Accelerator. I
already liked the idea of a Cyclone, but then I was like, where's the Starport? So without that Starport, you do have a lot of extra resources to put into an upgrade. So that is going to be a little bit problematic. I mean, they're going to destroy basically any Protoss unit. Most of them are armored. And that means that not only can he bop this Oracle just by having a Cyclone in general, he could initiate a bit of a counter and basically force Neeb to turtle on 2 bases, which would make him a bit uncomfortable. Neeb is also going to get a scout on this. It's usually the guarantee with the Stargate. Is he going to go for the Revelation or actually try and dive in? Ooh, maybe just Revelation. Ooh.
I gotta say that if I would see this, the first thing that I'm worried about is actually Drilling Claws. I hope that Neeb is better than me. I'd be like, Drilling Claws, maybe there's a Starport somewhere.
I see 2 Cyclones.
Yeah.
Revelation.
So it's really important, I think, that he dropped the Revelation. This is a scary push, and I would love to see an immediate shield battery in the front. I think you can probably defend it without a shield battery, but I think you're playing a very dangerous and risky game, because some of these pushes are very strong. I'd say, like, Neeb, come on, spend 100 minerals, and you'll at least be safe. And he doesn't want to do it.
It's I saw a shield battery making, but it's actually in the main. That is a little unfortunate that it's not in the natural to help out. But yeah, probably the best thing is to try and yeah, take it a little bit. Well, okay, the upgrade's not quite done, so that would be the best situation.
Wow.
And the Phoenix are very helpful against the Cyclones when they're not being targeted by the Marines, and they are not. It looks like INnoVation accepts that he's going to lose them and is just trying to target down as many Stalkers as possible. So he does get one, but yeah, that was actually a beautiful scenario for Neeb right there. He's very happy with that.
Yeah, really good defense indeed, especially because the fighting started before Macfield was done, like you said. And I think the Phoenixes maybe surprised INnoVation a bit. Maybe he thought that there would be a second Oracle, which is something that Protoss players do sometimes as well. You still got to be careful, but I think Neeb just verified indeed that INnoVation is going up to triple command center. So that's a really important scout as well. This is already looking a lot better. I don't want to see him lose a Phoenix there. He's getting awfully close, but he does not. All right, we've got a game on our hands.
Yeah. I'm actually quite fond of Neeb's position because he also was he was prepping for a third while he was pushing that back, so there was really not a whole lot of time lost in the in the defense. It was really as good a defense as I would hope. Scan comes down to see the follow-up. Does get a scout on the Twilight Council and the Robo. I would say is good enough. Also the gases all being taken. And the assumption that third base is on the way. So we are finally getting a promising macro game just because there's not going to be any way for either one of them to follow up here very quickly. Ooh, Phoenix barely survives.
No, I'm with you. I think Neeb has a fantastic position. That cleanup indeed was even better than I expected it to go. He's going double forge, and you can see it as well that Neeb is feeling confident. Going up to 4 bases, double forge. Robotics facility is done. I would love to see a Robo Bay. Okay, it's already building one as well. Yeah, all of this is starting to look really good. And on top of that, INnoVation obviously spent a lot of resources on getting the upgrade, Macfield Accelerator, building 2 Cyclones, getting absolutely nothing done. I mean, 1 Cyclone is still alive, but you gotta be loving this if you're Neeb.
I would, yeah. I mean, INnoVation, he doesn't have the takeaway usually is that you don't get a starport that fast, right? But I mean, you don't get a raid, you don't get a Liberator for harassment. Both of those, any flying option from the starport, right, would have ideally been taken down by the Phoenix for Neeb. So it's yeah, in that way, maybe it's not such a big deal. The starport was later. He's still going to get to Medivacs, obviously. But no, I really do like this position for Neeb because he's also taking advantages beyond it. He didn't just say oh, I did well. Let me safeguard. Let me turtle. Let me be afraid of INnoVation. No, he knows exactly what to do and is showing fearlessness.
I often feel when you're in such a good spot and you know that INnoVation is not going to attack you too early, going for a quick double robo is a pretty good idea as well. Even if it's just to get a couple of observers out, right? Because if you're working single robo, obviously you want to get your Colossus count up, you want to get Immortals out. Otherwise, just gateway units are not going to cut it. If that bio ball gets too big, that Oracle does get sniped. I would have loved to see double robo. I think he could have afforded as well. Besides that, I love everything. It is important, though, that it takes a proper engagement.
Absolutely. Phoenix are guarding against any type of harassment to draw him out of position, so he should be able to focus entirely on this. 1 Cyclone's taken out of the equation with another stasis trap waiting. And actually, Neeb is going to go for it, feeling very confident. He doesn't have any upgrades, but he likes his composition. He likes the ability to force build that ramp. And he's going to get a Cyclone as well for 3.
Yeah, I find it a bit crazy. It seems like Neeb is expecting that INnoVation has a drop setup or something as well, because the Phoenix still on the right side. Don't lose this Colossus. And I don't think he will. A couple of Zealots will storm forward. That's a good Widowmine connection. But the second stasis connecting with a lot of bio units there. And that is something you'd love to see if you're Neeb.
His upgrades finally finish up, so they will be even in just 15 seconds here. But 2 Colossus also done. Make you feel very confident against an army that is not quite prepped against Colossus. And behind that, going for the 3rd Colossus, he already has the Templar Archives. So he could either go into some, Disruptors, or he could actually start up Storm, having more than 1 splash. INnoVation is finally setting up a bit of a drop to the right, and the Phoenix have moved out of position.
Yep, the Phoenix were on patrol there for the entire time. But Neeb is sending them back immediately, realizing, wait a minute, he's not pressuring all that hard. Let's see what else is out there. Inno's playing this very safe, actually. He unloaded his units from far away. Might get a first Phoenix kill. And this is where things get a little bit hectic, because the main army of INnoVation is still being a bit of a nuisance as well on the left side.
I think INnoVation either was repositioning or thought the army was already going to be there. But he did miss a little bit of an opportunity to try and at least maybe get some probes. So the army of Neeb does split away, and it is pretty well split as well. So INnoVation just goes ahead and flies off. And we're going into that straight up macro game. There's not a whole lot of gains here in the last 5 minutes. Neeb still feeling very confident, probably still in the better position after everything is said and done because he took no more damage. So 5th base, and while still not actually adding on additional splash, that's the only thing I can say is I would like to see the Disruptors or Storm added, but otherwise, chronoing his upgrades, getting a Dark Shrine, I do love that.
Yeah, I guess he's going to rely a lot on the harass with some Blink Dark Templars probably as well down the line. Yeah, and the regular Blink is going down now as well. I'm definitely with you. Please give us a second Robo or get Storm. But I really prefer a second Robo here. With the economy that he has and the amount of bases, I even say triple Robo it up. Come on. The world is yours, Neeb.
Well, I would like that as well, but he's just gonna, okay, there we go, finally adding on a Robo, but he also starts up Disruptors, which I'm really glad to see. Storm will eventually play a part in this game, but it's not super uncommon for Protoss players, especially certain Protoss players, to be like, you know what, nah, Storm's not working, even if I have good Warp Prism control and can ferry them around. So I still love the Disruptors, still think it's the best thing to be included here, and then also Neeb was thinking about posturing, but actually pulls back his main army, tries to go with the Warp Prism, it has speed, that's 2 missile turrets, 3. Technically in pretty prime position.
Or 4 even, right? It's a lot of missile turrets. It's hard to get in there, but it's still going to be annoying because a couple of Zealots will start working on these SCVs. So INnoVation has to take care of this. We have Zealots running into the army here as well, but that's not going to get much done with the Planetary Fortress. But it does give Neeb a lot of room in the center of the map to start maneuvering around. And obviously free up a little bit of supply as well because you want to replace the Zealots with better units. He does have 3 Robos now, but he didn't really use the second and third one yet. This is kind of scary, actually, because right now INnoVation is maxed out, and his army is pretty damn strong. We've got the Ghost upgrade as well. This is a perfect moment for INnoVation to fight, and it's going to be a little bit hard, I think, for Neeb to survive.
Neeb had no idea that it was moving off to the right side. I guess he thought there would be more of a opportunity for him to be the one that's on the INnoVation side of the map. So he is entirely out of position, already losing a Colossus. Not a great start there. Is forced to evacuate his 4th base. Now that's not super problematic if the rest of the fight goes well. But I'm concerned. He's also in a choke. His EMPs are going to be brutal.
I'm concerned that his army is horrible. I mean, he's on 23 Zealots. Amazing split there by INnoVation. But the Colossus are sitting ducks here. These Disruptor hits need to be big, and they are pretty decent. Now maybe all those gateways that Neeb has can actually save the day. Without that hit, I really think that could have been it. The Vikings have landed as well, but yeah, Neeb is going to take care of it. Neeb was super rich, had a lot of reinforcements there, and he will survive. Woo! Without a Disruptor hit, I actually think that could have been the end.
I absolutely agree. That one Disruptor hit in the heart of the army took out the majority of the army, and otherwise the reinforcements, yeah, maybe would have cleaned it up, but it would have been really, really, really messy. And that, at the end of the day, ends up still looking okay for Neeb, but he did lose that 4th Nexus. He doesn't have a bank anymore, so that triple Robo is not really churning here. He's actually initiating a counterattack, feeling a little bit confident. Disruptor doesn't find nearly as much that time. And it looks like, I mean, I'm surprised Neeb's going to push the issue, but he really wants to.
Yeah, as long as you just fire a couple of Purification Novas forward, I think it's not too bad. Just don't get too carried away and get surrounded by SCVs if you don't have a Warp Prism there. He's still getting aggressive, but he just kind of wants to fire those shots. And he's like, well, I'll make you work for it. Obviously, the shots are free, and if you get 1 or 2 Marines or a Marauder every now and then, it's nice. Would have been cool to see a couple of Zealots when you have this many gateways if you Neeb at that 5th base. Forward, Blink, man. Neeb is indeed really feeling it, Zombie Grub.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I minded it until he lost a unit there, Disruptor, but this seems to be something that's not really going to find a lot of success. Some success, sure, but yeah, you're like risking being dropped to the right or Liberators coming out soon, which is actually something INnoVation is prepared to do. He does have +2 ship weapons already, so he could add a couple of Liberators just to guard some of these chokes. He doesn't have to worry about them as much. But he has gotten a fusion core. So we are still talking about a pretty mobile Terran force. Liberators, I guess, maybe a plan for later. As now INnoVation, after dealing with the initial aggression, is feeling quite good about his position. I don't know.
I'm surprised that Inno thinks that this is the moment to get aggressive, as these Purification Novas already connecting with quite a few bio units there. Obviously, this kind of stuff is tough to pull off cross-server. The first split was good, but Inno needs to get the hell out of here. These hits are way too big, even though you can say that Neeb is very heavy on the Stalkers. I don't like where INnoVation is at right now.
Yeah, I don't either. I was like, well, I guess he's feeling confident, but I couldn't think of a reason as to why he would feel confident. Like it just didn't seem to have a lot of extra in that bio other than just hoping his splits were amazing. But maybe he underestimated the amount of disruptors that Neeb was going to get up to. He's up to 8 right now, and I guess that is a bit of a surprise. And now Neeb is going to return the attack. 2 disruptor balls, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So many of them trying to get the hits. And I think that was a bit of a trade.
I mean, Stalkers are not great, but if the Bio Army is forced to just run away all the time, even Stalkers are going to be able to clean things up. I like the way that Neeb has been splitting up his army, though, because this army on the right side, especially now that these Dark Templars have Blink, I want to say should be able to withstand that pressure, but that was an amazing EMP. Shield Battery is going to try to save the day. Overcharge being used as well, and now a couple of Dark Templars were actually saved to safety, or blink to safety rather. Neeb brings his main army over. He's going to blink on top of these Metavacs. I gotta say, this is a painful cleanup for Neeb, though. Jeez, did he lose a lot of units.
That was actually a game-ending cleanup. He came in with basically like 1 army, then 2 army, then 3 army, because it was just the Stalkers there initially before the Disruptors came into play, and that has really plummeted his supply. He's now down 20 army supply. The Disruptors were also traded out in that one fight, so he's down to 5 instead of 8, and they're also out of position. They recalled back, but they could be target power, which is exactly what INnoVation's going for. One does get a pretty good shot, but now we're down to 1 single Disruptor. INnoVation's on 5 bases. He's doubling the army supply of Neeb, and Neeb is desperately trying to hold on.
He's been so heavy on the Stalkers in the last 2 minutes, and Stalkers just don't trade very well here. This has not been a super long game, but Neeb has lost 60